Okay, back again. I think where we're having a mistake or an issue at is at this portion right here, because it's not, because those are both what are they? They're integers, right? Tip percent and tax percent are both integers. So if you divide them by 100 first, then they won't do what they're supposed to. So what happens if I take out those parentheses? All right, and we're going to divide the whole thing by 100 after it's done. So the order of operations still should be fine, and you know, the unnecessary things added into the program lead to unnecessary things, so it's fine. It's whatever. Alright, so we screwed that up. Maybe this will fix it. It should. But it might not. Oh, it does. Okay. So the parentheses are what screwed us up by trying to force the order of operations in a direction it was already going. It was just not going to work out for us in the long run. Okay. I'm not exactly sure what the logic is behind that. But it is what it is. I don't know how else to put it. Okay, so we've completed that one as well. So that's 3 days and 1 day. We're going to submit that code. Alrighty then. Let's see if test case 2 comes up positive. Congratulations! We have gotten past the 3rd day. AKA day 2, which is weird, but whatever. They started at 0, so it's kind of a coding thing, I guess. Whatever. Alright, so we're into day 3, and this was given to us by AA1992. I don't know if that's Alcoholics Anonymous or what, but we'll work it. Alright. So I'm glad we took a step-by-step look at the logic, because that seems to be where I'm most flawed at, is the logic, so not a big deal though, not a big deal. Moving right along, day 3 is intro to conditional statements. Conditional statements are like your if statement. So we're getting started with conditional statements. Check out the tutorial tab for learning materials and an instructional video that probably has nothing to do with the current stuff that we're doing, because the last 2 times it's also been true. Alright, given an integer, perform the following conditional actions. If n is odd, print weird. If n is even and in the inclusive range of 2 to 5, print not weird. If n is even and in the inclusive range of 6 to 20. Alright, so inclusive means including 6 and 20. If it was exclusive, then it would mean basically do not include 6 and 20. I believe I'm right in saying that. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. You guys know. You've seen me. I've been wrong several times. No big deal. We just keep on working and keep on getting it done. So we did complete. Okay, so blah blah blah. All right. Input format: a single letter code containing a positive integer. Constraints: between 1 and 100 inclusively. So we're going to have multiple sample input-output scenarios. Oh my good god, they included everything on this one. Holy shit, that's everything ever. That's entirely too many. That's too many headers for what we're going to be doing, but whatevs. Okay. Alright, so, and they went ahead and took care of declaring the variable as well as initializing the variable and the return statement, so how very sweet of them. What's next? So, I am going to check out the... Oh man, these viewers fluctuate quickly. Okay, so we're going to go check out the tutorial just to see. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't think I am, but who knows? It's by Blondie Bites again. I don't think it's gonna have anything to do with anything. She's a good teacher, but yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is day 3 and we are going to start off by opening NetBeans. And it's going to load. We're going to work on our car again. And I'm going to be showing you how to do an if-else statement, which I'll talk about later, but basically it's another tool
No, talk about it now.
toolbox to help you represent things in code. And so here's our car class. It's still loading. And if for some reason your car.java file isn't here, you can go to your car, open this little tab, car package, and then go, and this is our car file, which contains our car class. Now, if this isn't here for some reason, and it might be because if you do control click,
I just don't know if I want to watch this.
But close.
Oh, if you guys want to watch this,
by doing file,
let me know or I'm going to skip it.
And then
I think it's good material, but I don't think it's what we're looking for here.
Open it,
so
come back.
I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to
and you don't want this
respond.
to become a huge list of projects. Right now we just have
and
our
if you don't want to watch it, then we'll just skip it.
You might have more. So just to review, last time we created a car class up here, and so actually
we're gonna watch the whole damn thing if no one responds. Let me clarify that. Nobody responds. We're watching the whole video, and the YouTube people can just enjoy it.
Change the name of the car, max fuel, max speed, stuff like that. And those are called instance methods, and those are down here. We can change things here, or we can print things and see what the values are. Like we talked about last time, not every car is the same, and so this is a blueprint. It tells us the tools we have in creating a car, but not every car is going to have a min speed of 0, a max speed of 100, such like that. And we can use something called a constructor to create custom
And you don't have to be a
cars,
lurker. I don't bite. I don't yell at people, and I don't freak out. So if you guys want to talk in the chat, that is perfectly fine.
And so down here we created one birthday car and changed a bunch of things about it. First, it had only one person, and then it had 4 people, and then we took some people out, and we printed all of the variables, all of its instance variables, its fields, its properties that were specific to the birthday car.
So when I'm learning something new, this is generally how I learn it. I try to use Google and YouTube,
but now that we kind of know the difference between a class, which is a blueprint that
since
gives us
C++ is new to me, or fairly new,
what defines a certain object, versus an instance,
it's
which
perfectly
is an
acceptable
object,
to research things.
You can change them,
you don't have to
and
just
it's
find a
tangible
subject matter
versus
expert
the
and ask them a
blueprint
million questions.
of
You can
a class.
just
And so the next
learn
thing
it
we're
on your
gonna do
own.
is add another method. So if we hit enter here, go to the end of our methods and add something right here, we'll do public. Void will be the return type. And then we will do turn the car on. Open, close parentheses, open
So
bracket,
what she's going to be
enter,
teaching
that
us
will
is
close the bracket. And here
if-else
we are
statement.
going to turn the car on. So if we scroll up, we
Maybe
have
at some point in this video
called is the car on, and it's a boolean, and right now it's set to false. And so unless we change it, it's going to be false, or if we customize it to true, it will be true then, but initially, defaultly, it will be set to false. And so we can call a method to
defaultly.
So what we can do is we can say is the car on equal true, and the method's done. But what if the car was already on? Well, then we're setting it to be true again, and it's kind of repetitive. Well, we can use something called an if statement, and that will say, like, if the car is already on, then we don't want to turn it on again. If the car isn't on, then we want to say, is the car on? We want to set that to true. And so we can use, like I said, an if statement. And an if statement, the syntax is kind of like if, and then open parenthesis, then you put a condition there, and you say, like, is the car on? What's your condition? You put it there, close that parenthesis, then you have open, close, curly brackets, and inside of the brackets, you put whatever you want to happen if that thing is true. So this is a lot to talk about in theory, so let's just do it here. And so we'll say if, and then we'll call the property is the car on, and then we'll say if it equals false, meaning the car is not on, then we'll do curly bracket, enter, that'll close the curly bracket. We want to set it to true. We want to turn the car on. And so what this does here is if the car is on equals false, meaning the Boolean up here is equal to false, then it will be set to true. Otherwise, it must have already been true, so we don't need to set it. Kind of makes sense? Now, you might be wondering what this double equals means, and what it means is that here, when we do is the car on equals true, we're doing an assignment statement. But we also want something for equality. While we do double equals for equality to say, is this thing equal to this thing?
Comparisons.
And so that it doesn't get confused with assignment here. And so other things that you could put here, because they're Booleans, the only thing you can do is, are they equal or are they not equal? The idea of something being greater or less than with the true and false doesn't exist here. And so we can say not equal by doing the exclamation point here and then the equal sign right after. So because is the car on can only be true or false, if it's not false, it must be true. And so that can get kind of weird, but we'll just say equals equals false and then is the car on true. Now what is inside this right here, this condition between the two parentheses, it must be true or false. And so you could put 1 here, or you could put, I don't know, 15. If 15, and it's not gonna recognize it, it's not gonna know what's happening. And so you have to put is the car on equal false. Now if I put something like max fuel, let's see what happens. It will still freak out because max fuel doesn't evaluate to true or false. And so you need to put true or false.
We're also not attempting to evaluate by using any type of evaluation statements, so it's obviously not going to work.
It's always true. And so if you put a number in there, if you put, I don't know, something else in there and it doesn't evaluate to false, it is true. Now, we
if
just
it's a true false kind of
in here has to evaluate
like not loop,
to true or false,
conditional statement.
Even if it's a number or whatever. Well, if we take out this equals false,
it's not iterative.
What does this mean? Well, is the car on automatically evaluates to true or false, so we don't even need the equals, we don't need to even check for equality here because this will directly evaluate to true or false. So right now it says if the car is on, if that evaluates to true, then we want to set it to true. But that's not what we want. We want if the car is on, if it's false, then we want to set is the car on to true. And so we can add an exclamation point, a bang, right there. And basically now it says if the car is not on, because this means not, then we
if not the car is on.
Now we can add some if statements to other methods that we've created. And so if we go up here to get out, we might want to add an if statement here because what if no one is in the car? Right now I can keep telling people to get out of the car and ultimately have a negative number of people in my car, which shouldn't happen because it doesn't happen in real life. And so if we do,
what if they're ghosts?
If
they could be ghosts.
Number of people in car equals
So the reason we're watching this video is because we're doing the HackerRank challenge for day 3, and she's going over if statements, and
subtract,
so being fairly new to C++,
but that's not what we want.
We just kind of want to get wrap our heads around and allow the people that are watching to wrap their heads around.
Since we have numbers, we can actually
what an if statement is, what it does, why it does it.
All of those are applicable here.
And so also I asked like a few minutes ago if anybody wanted me to skip the video. Nobody said anything, so we've just been sucking it up and watching the video.
For this problem,
I don't really want to watch the video, but I think it's important that it does get watched by some people because they may not know anything about programming.
Or equal to 0,
and she breaks it down really well.
Well, we don't want it to be equal to 0, so we just want...
I'm going to take that as my cue to end this video.
So
9 minutes in. I'm ready to give up on life. Okay, so let's go over the information provided in the tutorial. Boolean logic. It's a logical statement. Evaluates to one thing or another. It's either true or it is not. Okay, so our if statements evaluate Boolean logic or conditions and allow you to make choices based on them. So what we're seeing here is we have the if A equals true. So if that is true, then it'll go to B. If A is not set equal to true, it'll go to C, and you'll have your answer. So this is, I believe, the same basic syntax used in C++. I mean, we'll see. Okay, so this statement right here, a switch statement, is like a really nifty version of an if statement. So you're going to have, it's like having multiple ifs that also has a default behavior. Which, if you think about it, ifs also have a default behavior. It's if this condition's not met, then do the default behavior. So if you don't break at the end of those statements, it just reset. Like, it won't reset, and it'll go through every statement. You don't want that. Okay, so anyways, what we're dealing with here, I believe we can use a switch statement. How did I screw that up? Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding you. Are you shitting me? Okay, so that's information for last program we did. Okay, let's go back over to. Okay, so the problem we have is we need to do a range of things. Okay, so given that we have to do a range of things, we might be able to do that switch statement, of which I will probably need to actually look at so I make sure that I do it right. Well, no, because that'll... I think we'll just do a bunch of if statements, like dummy people. Okay, so some of the things we're going to need for this particular conditional statement challenge, we're going to need to use logical operators. So these bars be found directly above the enter key. If you press shift and that button, it will give you a bar or a pipe, and you put two of those in a row and it means or in C++. If you use two of the ampersands, which is that funny little key, if you press shift 7, you can get an ampersand, and two of those together means and. It has to be this and that. And then of course the exclamation point, which is not. Look, the pretty girl goes away, or the pretty sounding girl goes away, and everyone leaves the stream. That's so funny. I just didn't notice that. That's interesting. Okay. So, if in is odd, print weird. So how will we know if in is odd? How do you figure that out? Well, I think there are multiple ways to do it. Well, which is true of any programming challenge, really. So how do we want to do that? Is the person that asked about the video gone? Super awkward. Popped in to talk about the video, then popped right back out. Alright, so let's see. Alright. So let's think about what we're doing here. With that first question, we basically want to know if it's divisible by 2. So, is the number divisible by 2? Okay, I'm going to switch this over to n++. It's probably going to crash us, but whatever. If